Hello one, hello all. Welcome to a bizarro Friday Let's Chat because it's Friday edition of the Alien franchise. Today I have Luke from RazorWire Reviews with me. Luke, why don't you go ahead and say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
All the way from a pair of steps somewhere in Norway.
Yes, that's correct.
So the Alien franchise, kind of... we just had Alien Day, April 26th. For those who don't know, for the to be honest, it kind of stems from the Star Wars boom.
Yeah.
It was there was a big uptick in space movies being made once Star Wars worked as well as it did, and studios said, "Hey, let's just put everything in space." And it was supposed to be not a plain horror in space, but they were trying to have different angles of the space genre, and what they got was something quite appealing. Luke, why don't you tell me how you got started with Alien 1? How you heard about it? Anything personal about your experience with the film?
Yeah, you asked the right guy. I have to go to Aliens first.
Okay.
Not to talk about the film, but it kind of links into everything. But first, I want to throw back a question at you. Do you know what? Do you know? No, you're taking it. Do you know what the first film is that you ever watched from start to finish?
Wait, what?
The first film that you ever watched from start to finish, do you know what it is?
Oh my God. Not off the top of my head.
Mine is Aliens.
Really?
Right? When I was a baby, so I wasn't even a year old. And my mum sat me down, put it on. She must have bought the VHS, I'm guessing. This is 1988. And I was sat there and just she wasn't that far into the pro media world. No. So she sat me down, she put it on, and I shut up for like 2 hours and watched it. And one of my earliest memories is a nightmare I had that kind of featured imagery that I'd seen on the back cover of the VHS tape of Newt and Ripley. So my beginning with Aliens goes to that fascination that I had from these weird memories I had of a nightmare I had when I was really young. And seeing the VHS tapes on the shelf, growing up, and it was kind of the Terminator, Alien VHS tapes that had the 18 logos, and I couldn't watch them, and I kept begging my mum, "Can I watch them? Can I watch them? Wait till you're 18 or whatever." Oh. She finally relented and let me watch them when I was about 10 years old. I think 10, 11, something like that. So that's how I came to be aware of the Alien films, through my mum, and yeah, that's it basically. And when I was that age, Alien, I thought it was good, but I loved Aliens. It was only later on, as a teenager, then an adult. To me, every time I watch the first Alien film, it just gets better and better every time I see it.
So, all right. So, I mean, that's it's. I'm assuming Aliens is your favorite film in the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think Alien is the better film.
That's it's really interesting that that's we'll get back to Alien, but with this series, for the most part, I mean, there are a handful of people that prefer 3. I still have yet to meet somebody that prefers Alien Resurrection over everything else, but usually it's you prefer Alien or you prefer Aliens, and there's this sort of respect thing where it's like, oh, I think it's good, but I just rather watch this. And it's they're really kind of different movies. Aliens is an action film for all intents and purposes, but Alien is this slow. It moves slow. There's a lot of mystery to it for the first hour or so. I want to say, maybe it. I'm trying to think. Does Act 1 end with the sucker face
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it even goes past Act 1, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I mean, they drew it out, and I mean, it pays off. It's not like a bad thing the way they do it. It's drawn out, but you don't nobody knows what's going on. The characters don't know. You, the audience, don't know, and you're all sort of learning together. And then it kind of takes this turn where, as you're getting more and more information, it definitely turns into a horror movie and a bit of a stalk and kill. Just like a traditional slasher, although it's not a slasher. It's people running from an alien. The big thing they teach about this film in school is the imagery. A lot of suggestion with the imagery. The alien. What the hell's the name of that thing? The
xenomorph.
No, as the clam, the lock, no, not
the face hugger.
Yeah, face hugger. That's it.
I don't know if that's the correct term, but just
no, yeah. I mean, that's what basically everybody calls it. Yeah. The lobster. Well, it looks like a lobster on the outside, but on the inside, it looks like. Let's call it what it looks like. It looks like a hybrid between a vagina and a penis. It's a vagina with a penis coming out. It's.
Well, yeah, it impregnates. So.
Yeah.
It's not far off.
Did you get any of the sexual stuff right away? Did it do anything? Did it affect your experience at all?
Well, when I first saw it.
Okay. When you first saw it, and eventually.
Okay. Well, for me, when I first saw it, none of that entered my mind. Obviously, again, I was like 10, 11 years old, something like that. And it was only like when I was a teenager, I started to there was a scene near the end, Lambert, Veronica Cartwright's character, where you see something go up like the hem of a trousers that kind of insinuate, and I was like, hang on a minute, I'd never noticed that before. Is that way? So it started to cotton on, and then obviously the quadrilogy DVD set came out, and I was so excited for that, and I just marathoned everything, like hours of documentaries, and that's when I started to. It was through those documentaries that I started to see where some of that was coming from. The very sexually themed artwork from Giger and how it all ties in. Even like the entrance that they go in through the ship looks very much like So yeah, it's very, very interesting and quite visceral, the imagery, but. Yeah.
Right down to the xenomorph's head. The xenomorph's head.
Think about when I watched the film, huh?
I'm sorry. You stopped in my head. The xenomorph's head looks like a great big phallic item. I mean, there's a lot of it, and it's like you said, Giger. He had some interesting tastes. He you could tell a Giger thing when you see it.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Whatever the last thing you said before I said that, it cut off for me. I don't know if it did for the audience.
Yeah, what I was saying was that when I watch it now, it doesn't really enter into my head when I watch it. It doesn't really play a big part in terms of going, oh yeah, because that's sexual. I just thought it's all a complete thing for me, and the viewing experience kind of just washes over me. I just love the film. It's amazing.
Right. What do you think the suggestions are, and for what reason? If you're not taking this as a straight, sci-fi horror movie.
Well, I've never claimed to be a good analyst when it comes to things like this, but I suppose that the very nature of the plot where the alien gets put inside Kane, where it's a very invasive, almost it's being raped, so that is something that is obviously, when is rape not terrifying, and so to put that into that perspective, I suppose, could certainly add to the uncomfortable feeling you get when you're seeing what's unfolding. For that part, at least, with the facehugger and everything. And then, of course, later on with Lambert, where it's suggested that the alien has its way with her as well.
Well, yeah, the magazine scene.
Yeah, of course, definitely. Yeah.
Quite a bizarre. I mean, you could say suggestion, but I mean, he rolls up the magazines and he's just trying to choke her. But the fact that the magazines themselves, I think they're like nudie mags, they're like trashy porno mags, and you know, it's quite a visual interpretation of unwanted oral stimulation. It's interesting. Like you said, I never claimed to really like notice it. Like, I mean, after having it shown to me and saying, look, doesn't look. I mean, obviously the inside of the face hugger, you're like, wow, that's a dick and a puss right there. That's crazy. But like, other than that, it's just like, yeah. I mean, I get it. It doesn't affect. I mean, unless like you're. Let me figure out how to say this. It's not like it's gonna affect the quality of the movie. Like, if you want to watch a sci-fi horror, I don't think it's. I mean, it's like you said, you didn't notice it the first time you watched it. It's not like it's, you know, it's Showgirls disguised as a survival horror. It's, you know, it's subtle enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something that the Alien franchise, you know, we had Ridley Scott, who really, I'm looking at this was his second film. He directed a film called The Duelists before this. That's his first film. A bunch of TV series work before that. And then he goes on and makes Blade Runner, Legend, Thelma and Louise, G.I. Jane, Gladiator. I mean, he goes on, and we work from Alien by Ridley Scott and get to Aliens years later by the little guy who made a little Terminator movie and decided, let me take on the Alien franchise. And little Jimmy Cameron takes on Aliens, and the genre totally. I mean, if at least not the tone, at least the pace just is gone. That slowness, that almost brooding pace to it is gone, and now it's like in hyperdrive. So this is your favorite film, Aliens.
Yeah.
Go ahead and lead us through what some of your favorite moments. I saw Matthew Aaronholt. Hello, Matthew. Earlier in the chat said the reveal of the Alien Queen in Aliens is his favorite movie monster. There's a lot in this movie, and go ahead and list off some of the stuff that you enjoyed most about it.
Have we got time for me to go through the whole film?
No, please.
Oh, there's so many moments. I was just, obviously, I was glued to the TV as a baby, but once I was cognizant of anything in a film, I was glued to the TV once again. I vividly remember sitting down so excited to see this film finally properly when I was a kid, and I was like, I'm gonna get to see this. I don't have to wait another 6 years or whatever. And it blew me away. Like, right from the beginning, where she has the nightmare that the thing comes through her chest, and that great effect where she pulls the top up and you actually see it pumping through the skin. Like, it's just so well done. Like you say, the pace. It to me, it feels like maybe not a natural progression, but an interesting progression to take. It isn't just a rehash of the first one. And it goes kind of, maybe not bigger and better, but it certainly goes bigger, more aliens, higher stakes, you know. But I still find it quite a scary film. Like, when they get to the colony, everyone's gone. Like, there's so many people who are supposed to be there, and they're
Yeah,
gone. And
and you know
it's
what? It is a tiny bit of a hint of the first Alien. I mean, you kind of have that where they're
yeah,
searching, and there's a bit of the mystery, but it's not around as long as it is in the first one.
no.
Oh yeah, so they open up Aliens with a bit of mystery, and go ahead. I was just trying to buy time for you.
Sorry, I thought that you saw a comment and you were no. I don't know. I mean, there's so many things I could go into about this film that I love. The characters, the Marines, they're just hilarious, and I love how cocky and arrogant they are. Like, oh, we don't need to know about what this thing is. We just need to know where they are. Like, and
Yeah.
they get there and they soon realize the shit that they're in. And I love seeing that progression from all those characters. And Sigourney Weaver, it's just, I love how in Alien, in the first half of the film, she's a fairly stern character, but there's not too much to her until by the time we get to the end, she's the last one standing, and she really shows her grit at the end of that film. So by the time we get to Aliens, that's within her now. She's been through something, and throughout the whole of Aliens, she's just a badass, and I just think she's fantastic in the film. She's a big reason of why I love it so much as well.
Yeah, there is that turn to it's like you said, the Marines they're like cartoon characters. They're just so cocky and just over the top, and they have no respect for anything that's going on. And Sigourney Weaver's like, I hope, she even says, I hope you're right. But she she's like, I don't guys, I've seen this thing. And slowly but surely, the arrogance of the Marines, and then the leader, the general, or whatever, the colonel, the captain, the guy who's in the car, truck, tank thing.
Gorman, I think, yeah.
Yeah. When he slowly just, first of all, he's in over his head from the start. Right down to every decision he's making, he's being second guessed by everyone, and they have to change their weapons like right before they get going because of it's on like a thermonuclear reactor or something like that, and they can't use fire, and he's just being second guessed, and once things just hit the bricks, he's lost. And then Sigourney Weaver just Ripley says, yeah, I got this, fuck it, I'm taking over. And then like at that point, I think Michael Biehn, right?
Yeah, he plays Hicks.
Yeah, he's in there with her, and then he's like the one who first starts trusting her, and then there's this like transition where the Marines, they're following her at like in the middle. It's Michael Biehn that trusts her the most. He's the one who doesn't really disrespect her at all. And then towards the middle, he's listening to her. He's asking her for help, asking her for advice, this, that, the other. And then there's a transition where they're just, what do we do? And we got a couple. Bill Paxton. Dennis says Bill Paxton. Game over, man. Game over.
The fuck are we gonna do now?
Some of my favorite moments are the visuals of the space and spaceship. Look awesome on Blu-ray. Yeah, I actually have Alien playing right now on Blu-ray, and it's just incredible. Absolutely
stunning. That Blu-ray set is just top notch.
Yeah, and actually, if you don't own, like, what my thing is, if you don't own all of a series, yeah, I can understand that. But when they put them on sale, it's it's almost worth it. Like Amazon, every now and again they put that Alien 4 movie. It's a nice set. It's comparable to the Star Wars set that Fox made. It's just got a glossy cover. It's all 4 Alien movies with a bunch of extra stuff, and it sells for $20. I would say every 6 months on Amazon. For all 4 movies. I mean, you could take Alien 1 and 2 for $10 each and get 3 and 4 free. That's the way I look at it. It's certainly worth it for that price.
if you like special features as well, it's just beyond. I mean, you get 2 cuts of every film, commentaries, like hours of document. It's ridiculous.
Right. And they the second cut of Aliens, there's like dozens of minutes added on to that, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like, quite bad. At least 20, well, maybe 18, 20 minutes, something like that.
It's like well over 2 hours, that cut.
Yeah, that's the only one I watch now.
Mm-hmm. Spot on Paxton impersonation. Well, thank you, Matthew. See, when I think of Bill Paxton, I always think of his "Now get yourself one, dickweed." I don't remember what movie. Is that Weird Science? That is Weird Science. Bill Paxton was a bit of a cartoon character throughout, like 83 to 93. I mean, True Lies. Oh, his character in True Lies.
He's so great in that.
Pair of titties want to make you want to stand up and beg for buttermilk. Ass like a 10-year-old boy. I mean, come on, man. Bill Paxton. After that, you can't take him seriously after that. Like, I mean, even though he's in Twister, he was just a shell of himself. It was, but yeah, no, Bill Paxton's fun. Yeah, so Alien 1 is just the one alien, right? They never really. I mean, there's the eggs, the things, but they bring one with them, and that's how the chaos ensues. It's just the one. Yeah. So aliens, they're there, and they
hundreds of them.
Yeah, they discover this nest. And there's one that looks, when they discover the queen, it looks like it's a bunch of things, and you don't realize it's just one alien, and it's just like, what is this?
It's just amazing. It's so good. It's just, I mean, everything that goes with it, like the acting, the direction, the models, the special effects, are all great. But then you've got on top of that all these great like classic moments, like the knife scene, you know, with Bishop doing the thing across. It's just that's a classic scene, you know. Yeah. One of my favorite moments of the whole film is when Ripley goes down to rescue Newt from the alien nest, hive, whatever, and the countdown clock is ticking. You know that the alarm's going off. The whole planet or the whole thing is going to get blown up, and she goes down in the elevator. And it's just this kind of almost calming moment where she's getting the weapons ready and stuff. And just that one shot in the elevator is always just, I always look forward to that shot when I watch the film. There's something like the anticipation, the build up, but also just kind of like the breath before going in to, you know, to maybe die, but to at least go and try and find Newt. Newt, that's a great character as well, who I think really adds a lot to the film and gives Ripley that motherly aspect, which with the special edition means more because we know that she had a daughter who is no longer around, which wasn't in the theatrical version of the film, and so it gives it even more of meaning to Ripley, I suppose. Too.
Yeah, you know, if you really want to get yourself deep into the Alien CU, there's an Alien video game where they kind of give you a little bit of a backstory on Ellen Ripley's daughter, and it's a nice little triangle there. Wow, you have it handy on steps.
I wanted to mention it because I played it and it's great. Like if you want to play a game that's like almost just like the film, this one is just like it's amazing.
Yeah, indeed. Now that you have that, we should. There's no co-op in that, is there?
No.
Unfortunate. Yeah, it's and I almost want to say that's Mary Elizabeth Winstead on the cover.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
If not, it's somebody who really looks like she would be Sigourney Weaver's daughter. Something to touch on that maybe we kind of steamrolled over a bit from the first one to the second one. They have a robot of sorts on Alien 1.
Yeah.
That kind of goes haywire and well, he's the one who tries to magazine rape Sigourney Weaver. So she's a bit skeptic, I guess, of the the second time in Aliens, in Cameron's Aliens. And I guess as an audience, you're always kind of wondering and second guessing and waiting for the moment, because as much as Alien had Alien as like the bad guy, what was the name for the robot
in the first film?
Yeah, well, I mean, like the name of the breed. Somebody help me. No, I know they're replicants in Blade Runner. What are they called?
Just a synthetic android. I don't know.
Android, yeah, yeah. I forget what the hell the title of the model is or whatever. Yeah, so, yeah, she ends up being a little leery of the one in the second one, and it turns out that he is actually androids. Yes, thank you, Matthew. Yeah, it is androids. Yeah, so, but in Aliens, apparently they fixed the issues from years back, and
well, he says that, doesn't he? He says, "Oh yeah, that was an older model." They ironed out all the kinks since then.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's presenting like he's talking in a calm manner, but it's almost like suspicious the way everything he does. Like once you find out he's an android, from that moment forward, everything that he's doing is calming, but it's also like really like suspicious. You're like, wait, why are you talking in that tone? Like what is going on with it? Why are you doing that? What? And it turns out that he was he was a fixed model.
Yeah. And I like that. I like the time jump as well. The 57 years, like she's been floating out in hyperspace, because it means that when she does get picked up and taken back to Earth, she's got nothing. She got no family left. And I like how the picture they give her of her daughter as an old woman, when she died years earlier. I think that was Sigourney Weaver's mother. I like little things like that. But yeah, I think that kind of, because I think she wakes up, they tell her the deal, and then I think we flash forward a little bit, and she's been working, but she's not really. She's living in this small apartment and stuff, and so I just like that little, and then just kind of the shock factor, like, whoa, she's been asleep for 57 years. It's a cool little introduction to the film that I always liked.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like you said before with her taking on this motherly role, the character progresses. I mean, in Alien, she's just this woman on a ship trying to survive. But in Aliens, she her character takes on a role of being a bit more of a protector as well. I mean, not only for Newt, but kind of for the Marines a bit.
Oh, yeah. Some of them.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
it's really interesting. Like, if at least through Alien and Aliens, there's a certain amount of progression that's really welcomed as far as I'm concerned. How do you feel about Paul Reiser's character?
Oh, I love him. He's such a he's such a prick. Like he just does it so well, and it's I don't know if I can say it's unexpected, because like I can't really remember like my whole first watch of the film, but the way that it builds up, he's made it out to seem like such a nice guy at the beginning, and then it slowly becomes apparent that he's kind of the I mean, who has that role in the first film? I guess it's Ash, the android, who is carrying out the the plan to bring back the whereas we have more. Well, I guess Ash's motives were kind of kept
handed
secret
down to him. Yeah, I mean, he got that message to do what he was doing. So theoretically, Paul Reiser could be one of the people that would send one of those messages.
Yeah, and so he's kind of representative of that corporate side of it, the corporate evil, so to speak. And
yeah,
and I just he's just such a great kind of, you love to hate the character like that, because he just, when the true colors come out, he's just such a prick. And I thought he played his part perfectly.
Yeah. And the differences between Alien and Aliens is, Alien, for the first half, it's a slow brooding pace, and then it's more of a chase, a stalk and kill, running from a villain. And Aliens, they're kind of Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little bit of the, but like as an audience member, you know what to expect now. It's like you said, the stakes are raised. You know, it's not one alien now; it's a nest of them,
Yeah.
and it's a bit of a hybrid of, you know, they're going to rescue, but you know, we know that there's nothing to rescue. Um, so it's a bit of a fight, and then turns into them running. Is that fair? Like,
Well, there's lots of there's so many points to it, like where they realize, okay, there's nothing we can do. We got to get out of here. Let's get the ship over. But the woman flying the ship gets killed by an alien. So again, like he says, what the fuck are we gonna do now? So they're gonna try and somehow get the other ship down, and all the hijinks that ensues from there and stuff. And I've lost my train of thought.
Alien. The differences between them being on the offensive to
right. Yeah, one thing is that with Alien, you have the tension that builds throughout the whole film, and it's, you know, it keeps building and building. And there's a lot of time for it to build. Once the alien is out and stuff, and they're discussing what to do, they come up with a tracking device and everything. Whereas in Aliens, there are moments of tension, but they're much more intense and in a shorter period. Like the scene where they're in the room and they've got the tracking device and they can see that the things are right on the other side of the door, and it's like beeping and beeping and beeping. They're trying to seal the door and everything, and then they realize it's above, you know, and they're coming down through the ceiling and stuff. So the pace is a lot quicker, but the tension is still there. And I guess it's, you know, it's arguable which is better or more effective, but
Sigourney Weaver has always been one of my favorite actresses. She's played in so many cool movies. Just saying. No,
yeah, she's great. She's wonderful. I think she's my favorite actress. I think.
Wow. I don't know if I'd say that. You know what? Something that I've kind of taken on as a personal mission. I mean, you're a big fan of them lately, Luke. Matthew Aaronholt in the chat, certainly a big fan. Took on some of the role last night and joined me. The Star Wars Force Awakens. There is a giant feminist, anti-feminist movement against Rey, the character from Force Awakens, and the people that don't like what Rey from Force Awakens is always point to this Sigourney Weaver Ripley character, and I don't like the analogy because, you know, Sigourney Weaver is she's a boss. She's a person who she doesn't allow what, like in Alien, they come back with the face hugger, and
yeah, she refuses to let him on.
right. So, you know, she's already a bit of an authority figure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would feel like she's more of a badass. And like a lot of the complaints for Force Awakens is, you know, she's too perfect, she's too much of a badass. But I would feel that Sigourney Weaver is a bit more of a. Listen, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying when you say that's okay, like I don't understand the. Like what is so weak about Sigourney Weaver? I mean, genuinely, is there something that I'm missing?
No, it's something that they're all missing. Like you say, she has no flaws, and then you say emotional flaws. Like, you know,
right.
Do you not read between the lines or understand facial expressions?
Right, and you know what? I spoke this to you in private, but it's something that, like, you know, me as a heterosexual male, you know, in Alien, you know, Sigourney Weaver isn't, you know, in that movie, she's not incredibly attractive. But sure enough, towards the end of the movie, when she has to change for, you know, the leaving of the, you know, getting locked up into space because they have to wear their underwear in there because reasons. At that moment, you're like, wow, a sexual moment there. She's rather attractive. She's scantily clad, and, you know, it's a moment where you're like, yeah, actually, I'm kind of attracted to that. And I feel like that's the only difference. There's no trow dropping in Force Awakens, it seems like the anti-feminists like to cling to women that either expose their sexuality. At some point, they have some sort of submissive nature, which again, Sigourney Weaver, unless somebody can think of one, does not have that moment throughout the series. And unless if it's not the sexual nature in which we see her at the end of Alien, that it's the fact that she's actually being chased. That is a big thing with horror movies, that it's called a final girl syndrome, and that's basically what she is. And there's this psychological thing that is said about people that enjoy those characters, and I'll save that for a future episode of something. But she's a very strong character. I don't know where I was going. The point is there's no real difference. The difference is she's being chased by something, and we explore her sexuality a bit. And I really I would love to be told what the difference is. Save that for the shrink. Yeah. Let me just stop digging. She's a great character, but she's certainly a strong character. There's no weakness. There's no. I mean, she has issues in part 2 with her daughter, the fact that she lost her daughter, and she takes on this motherly role. But again, that's something emotional.
Yeah. Input,
Luke, please save me.
I don't have the answers. It's
not answers.
This whole feminist thing and what the Force Awakens. I just I don't even feel like it's a conversation people need to be having about that film. Really, it's in fact, I saw again. How could we go through a stream without talking about Star Wars? But I saw this interview with Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and the interviewer was like, "Oh, it's so great to see a woman in a strong role like this." And Daisy Ridley was like, "Yeah, like this and the Hunger Games and stuff." And I was just like, there have been. I mean, in Aliens, we have Ripley and we have what's her name? Velasquez, is it?
Oh yeah. She's
and she is a tough, badass woman. Another one, and that's just part of Aliens. It's not ever like they put 2 female women. No, it's just what it is. It's the characters. It's the characterization, and that one's female. There we go. Nothing more needs to be delved into, but of course, people are going to do that. So
right.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it I don't know. So Sigourney Weaver has something special. It's her smile. Huh. You ever get mistaken for a man, Vasquez?
No, do you?
That's pretty funny. Stop your grinning and drop your linen. Oh man. See, I should look up his quotes. There's like a great one that I'm missing. I know there is. Yep.
I love the story of how James Cameron got that role at the gig. Actually, I don't know if you heard it, where he was seeing some executives or something about a script. He wasn't really into it, and as he was leaving, they were like, "Oh, we're trying to get another Alien film going." He's like, "Oh, I'll have a go at that." And he was currently writing Rambo 2.
Cameron?
So he wrote Rambo 2 and A Treatment for Aliens at the exact same time. He figured out how many pages can I write per hour or whatever. He figured it out, and he wrote both films in like a certain amount of time, and just But just the fact that it was like an off chance thing, like, "Oh, we're doing this. You interested?" And he went, "Oh, I'll have a go." And it's funny how fate works. So obviously, I'm sure Terminator had something to do with the final decision and everything, but it's interesting. And I've never heard actually Ridley comment on whether he would ever have gone back for the sequel, or if he was even asked. So I'd be interested to hear about
Huh. Oh yeah. Any questions?
that.
Just one. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?
Oh.
What's funny is Rambo 2 is my favorite Rambo movie. So Cameron really is a genius with sequels. Yeah, he better be with the time he's spending on his next project. So, man, Cameron. Can we get a True Lies too? Like, why Avatar? Why Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? So, do you have anything else about Alien 1, Aliens? Because we're going to take a really nasty turn now.
No, not really. I mean, Aliens is in my top 5 of all time. That's how much I love it. It's just, it never fails to entertain me on so many different levels. And again, I think the first Alien is a better film. Just the craftsmanship and everything, like the design, the direction, everything, the slowness and everything about that is almost perfect, I think. But the second one will always be my favorite, and yeah, that's pretty much it, I suppose.
Yeah, so Fox decided they wanted to keep going. Did they want Cameron back for 3? Did they try to get either Cameron or?
I can't remember. I'm not sure. I remember reading in I think early 2000s. I think this was after though, that Ridley and Cameron were thinking about teaming up to do some kind of sequel.
Really?
Oh yeah, they had discussions about them, both of them teaming up to do it.
That's a sexy idea.
Yeah, but I'm obviously being early 2000s. That must have been post Resurrection, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. As far as Alien 3 is concerned, I can't remember. I did recently watch the whole making of, because the Blu-ray. This is really interesting. On the DVD, they did the making of, and obviously it was a troubled production with David Fincher taking his name off it, or stepping away.
Let me get to that.
Stole your thunder. But Fox they cut the documentary down on the DVD because it showed too much of how much of a bad production it was. But on the Blu-ray, it's completely uncut. So I watched that recently, and it was fantastic. But
wait, what's uncut?
On the Blu-ray, the documentary about the making of Alien 3 is uncut. It was
really?
bits were taken out on the DVD initially when it came out in 2003, I think.
Yeah, so Fox decided for some bizarre reason to hand their big sequel Alien 3 off to an unproven director by the name of David Fincher. Ended up being his first big time role. And the difference between what they did with Ridley Scott and James Cameron was they foxed it. They Fantastic Foured it, so to speak. They let him direct it, but they were really kind of all over it. And David Fincher has gone on to rather famously kind of disown that movie and just not very happy with almost anything of what happened there. And before we get started about the actual film itself, it makes you wonder just what did we miss out on? Because I mean, the guy went on to be David Fincher. Between Seven, Fight Club, Zodiac, recently Social Network, Gone Girl. I mean, it's David Fincher. Yeah, I mean, this is a series of movies where you're talking about Ridley Scott, Blade Runner, Gladiator. You're talking about James Cameron. Anything he touches, and now here, Alien 3. They have another just golden boy of a director, and they didn't know what they had. I hope, because if they did, they really screwed things up. But it was made, and it's not Alien. It's not Aliens. It's a suitable sci-fi action-ish movie. It's on the scale of Alien and Aliens, Alien being the slow, almost survival horror type thing, and Aliens being the bit of the sci-fi action, where do you place Alien 3 there? That's not a rhetorical question. That's a genuine question.
I suppose it's somewhere between the two, and Alien 3. It's I kind of really like it, but I don't think it's very good. It's a weird one. There's so many good ideas in it. I think the idea that she's surrounded by these people who have done terrible things, and she's the only woman there. It goes back to the sexual thing, but in a much more human way now. Indeed, with the scene where she is almost raped, and then the fact that there's no weapons on the planet. It's a prison planet. There's no weapons, and so that adds a different dimension to fighting an alien that we've never seen before. And I found that to be very interesting. The early experimentations with CGI is something the film definitely could have done without. And really, in fact, no, I remember now. It isn't CGI. When you see the alien and it looks like shit, it is a puppet that has been comped into the frame, and it just looks like shit. It looks like shit, and I just that's one of the main things that always bugs me about the film. But it's also so, not that the film shouldn't be down and depressing, but there's such a feel of it. There's so much dread, and again, not that it's a bad thing, but I don't know. Every time I watch it, my opinion seems to change just a little bit, I think. Have you heard the one of the original ideas for the film before they made the one that they made?
Are you referring to the wood planet? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard of it. I don't remember it quite well. What I have here in my face's place is what you're going to be looking at when I talk for a little bit. I'll leave it up. The IMDb scores are on the left there. You could see that there's a distinctive cutoff there between Aliens and Alien 3. I left off Alien versus Predator, both of them, because since Prometheus, Alien versus Predator is kind of a cutoff, a fan fiction of sorts. It doesn't fall into this storyline anymore. So yeah, there's a distinct drop, and Prometheus appears to be the middle point. And what's funny is it's usually good movies don't make money, bad movies make a lot of money. I mean, it happens, Transformers, but if you adjust for inflation, this franchise is, for the most part, has made the money that it deserves, that people want, and that's such a rare occurrence. But yeah,
I did not know those figures. That's really interesting.
Yeah, on the right there, those are adjusted. If you take actual money, I think Prometheus is the highest.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, Alien in 1980, 79, whatever year. Yeah, I mean, that's 50 million back then was a big deal. So
yeah.
Yeah, please tell us about the original plan.
I can't remember a lot of it, but the guy who came up with the idea, he put so much thought into it. Again, a wooden planet, like a monastery, and
right.
There were some good ideas in there, and I kind of liked it because there's a feature out on the Blu-ray where he just describes his whole vision for it. And the studios were like, well, that doesn't make logical sense. Why would this be there, and all that kind of thing? And he's like, well, it's a film, and I didn't think the discrepancies were that big, but they obviously didn't like it that much. But I loved the ending. The ending was that Ripley set these fields on fire somewhere on the planet, and then she just walks into the fire, and that's the end of the film. To kill herself in the final. It's very, very similar to how it actually ends in terms of her action, but it was just interesting. I just thought it was an out there idea. You could argue that Alien 3 is kind of an out there idea, killing off all the characters from the second film, which I always see as a bit of an FU almost to the people who enjoyed the second film. It's like, oh, you like these characters? We're going to kill them all off one by one.
Yeah.
You know, the film opens, they're dead. But it does work. It does. I think it does work. I think it puts Ripley in that spot again where it's another thing to overcome.
Yeah. So I don't know. There are a pair of suggestions in Alien and Aliens. Aliens is about, her taking on more of a mother type role. Her dealing with a bunch of mother aspects, and then in Alien 3 they go like literal. And through the course of the movie, we find out that she's gonna birth one of those bad boys. I'm dying to know just how much. I mean, it's really intriguing. It makes you want to know what Fincher had in mind. What other ideas were out there, because I can't imagine him being completely on board with some of the things that, or most, maybe all of the things that were done in the movie. I mean, it's a neat ending, but I don't know. It's like you said, it's a really, really weird, a grim movie. It's really hard to like some of the characters because it's like you said, they're in a prison. It's just it plays as a sci-fi action movie, but when you come from Alien and Aliens, it's just like, really?
Yeah, I like the cast. They put together a hell of a cast. All these great British actors. Charles Dance is great in it. I love his character, but again, well, he's a character who's, it's kind of explained, he's not really as vicious as the other people who are murderers and rapists and stuff, and they're not afraid to tell Ripley that. Whereas he is a doctor who got disgraced because I think the story was someone died on his watch or something. So his kind of reason for being there is a lot different. And not as sinister, but then again, he gets killed pretty early on anyway. So, but it all does heap up onto her, and she goes from, well, I suppose in all films she's trying to survive, but the odds are stacked against her in this one. And I think all the pieces they start to come together when you look at the basic elements, but something about it when the end product just didn't seem to click anywhere near as well as the other two, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I like how the movie called Resurrection almost killed the franchise. We'll get there. My biggest problem with Alien 3 is it's so dark and joyless, and it's not really something I feel like watching too much.
Yeah.
Make what you will of the fact I've only seen it once so far. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I saw that in the movie theater when it came out, and I've seen it, I think, once, maybe once and a half. I maybe had it on TV and wasn't really paying attention. And when I bought this Blu-ray set, I watched it through once more. I'm watching Alien right now. I don't plan on throwing Alien 3 on after this. So it doesn't really.
I'll give you an interesting point though. When I was a teenager and I'd kind of regularly go through all the films when all the four were out. I would go through 1, 2, 3, 4. As the years have gone on, I kind of I started watching 4 more than 3. I just skip 3, go to 4. Now I kind of go 1, 2, 3, and then I just stop there whenever I do a big rewatch. So it's interesting how my will to watch 3 or 4 has kind of changed. I do think there's stuff to be enjoyed in Alien 3 on multiple watches. And I don't write it off as much as everyone else does. I still need to see the special edition cut. I have not watched that on the Blu-ray. They've done it up, I think, so I should check that out at some point.
Yeah, All right, let me finish what's else in the chat. The Ripley throwing herself into lava scene doesn't hold up. That's for sure. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a bummer too. After Alien and Aliens, that was so brilliant. It had to be difficult to make a third movie, being the first two so great. Yeah. Has it been done? It's been done. It had to be done. Well, it's like I said earlier. Fox they had this brilliant director. You know what? Who's to say that? Maybe this experience made David Fincher. Like it's really hard to say without knowing both paths. But
it's a hell of a watch, that documentary, because you really see moments where he's quite volatile on set and is not really enjoying himself. And also I'm not sure, I can't remember the details.
Wait, let me cut you off. Is that on the third disc? Where is that? Because I definitely have not watched that, and I'm pretty sure I own it.
Oh, you need to see it, man. It's on the first bonus features disc. It has all the making ofs of all the films. It's called Wreckage and Rage: The Making of Alien 3. It's fantastic. But he got the cinematographer who did Blade Runner to work on the film, but he only worked on it for 2 weeks, I think. He was starting to suffer from Parkinson's, and he was struggling, and so they had to take him out and replace him. So that's another thing. You had this amazing cinematographer in there who started the film, but then they had to kind of, part ways with him, and so that maybe, I don't know if that had anything to do with the uneven feel of it, but there's still things I like. Some of the imagery I really like. There's a great scene where she's down in this basement room and she sees the alien there, and she's like, I've had enough of you, like, you've taken on my life, whatever. She says it a lot better than that. And she goes to hit it, but it turns out...
Why does she do her hands like this? That's so weird.
She goes to hit the alien over the head with a pipe or something, and it bursts open, and it is just a pipe, and she's seeing things, and I like that kind of... They didn't explore it enough, where she was psychologically so messed up with the whole thing and how it just kept on coming back. But I don't know. I think the ending is, as someone said in the chat, doesn't hold up in some ways, like the effect of when you see a body falling down.
Oh.
But I still think it still has emotional resonance with me, and I'd say a good 90% of that is to do with the incredible score at the end of the film. That's such a great piece of music that kind of lifts it up more than it should, lifts it up more than it almost deserves to be lifted up. I think it's a great piece of music used at the end, and just the baggage of the previous two films lends more weight to it as well. But I definitely agree that the shot of her going down into the flames is a bit, that could have been done a bit better, I think.
Have you guys seen the On Earth Everyone Can Hear You Scream teaser? Nope. I haven't. Matthew, you'll have to let us know what that's about, because I realize that's a play on the "in space no one can hear you scream." Interesting. But yeah, Alien 3. Like I showed before, we'll get to the 2012. 11. We'll get to the prequel, but there's that giant split, and it's Alien and Aliens, and then as an audience we're like, no more, and that's all you get. As far as your quality, your 8+ quality on IMDb, it's now firmly in the rear view. Yeah. And what's funny, I'm gonna have to insist, because I don't know much about this background, but I'll lump it in with the rest of the theme with the Alien series. They had some great directors. The director of Amelie was brought in for of course Amelie wasn't made yet. For Alien Resurrection. Well, the City of Lost Children has quite a bit of a following. The director of that, Jean-Pierre Jeunet. Am I pronouncing either of those? Sure. Jean-Pierre Jeunet? That could be it. Did he win an Oscar? He was nominated for an Oscar for Amelie. Delicatessen, I think, is another big one.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but...
Right. Like
Heard enough about it.
I'm looking at his filmography here, and I'm like, yep, okay. Alien Resurrection really sticks out, though. Yeah, Delicatessen, City of Lost Children, Alien Resurrection, and then he said, well, let me go direct an Oscar-nominated film, and Amelie. This one I remember the least. I'll be utterly honest. Alien Resurrection, you remind me, was Winona Ryder's in it as
the android. Cool.
Oh, man, I should probably watch it again. See, I had never seen it in its run, and when the Blu-ray, I think I paid like $70 for the Blu-ray set like an idiot.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, there's a reason I'll be able to watch it, and I watched it that once, and I don't know when it first came out. I'm gonna say at least 6 years ago. That's when I've seen it. I saw it once, didn't really fall in love with it. I don't remember it very much. Do you remember the last time you've seen it?
It's been a few years, yeah. I think when me and Connie first got together, we watched all four, and I think that might be the last time I watched it. I have an interesting perspective, though, because at the time it came out, that's when I had started watching the films. Fact. Let me think.
Fiction. Oh, huh? Wait. Oh, I thought we were playing a game.
Hang on a minute. When did it came out? 97, right? Alien Resurrection.
Yep.
Holy
they had
shit.
This little 5-year run there for a little bit.
Man, I must have been like 8 or 9 when I saw the Alien films, and holy shit. Because when 4 was coming out, I was so excited about it. And again, just a kid who just watched the Alien films, and I was so excited to be around for a new one. And I remember the trailers, and I was like, oh, it's like so excited about it. And I remember seeing pictures in magazines and looking at it. Oh my God, Ripley's back! Like I was so bought into it. I couldn't go and see it obviously in the cinema, but I was waiting for it to come out on video. And Blockbuster had like the rental tapes for sale at like an extortionate price, and I was like, holy shit. My mum got it, and she's a big fan, and she watched it, and I was like, what was it like? And she was like, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good. And then I saw it. And I saw it, loved it. Obviously I was a kid, but I can't say I've ever watched it and gone, I still enjoy it. I think it's entertaining. I think it's a fun film. I just don't think it's a very good Alien film, and I'm not really a big fan of the just Ripley in the film. She's not Ripley, she's a clone, and then there's all that the muddying of the is she really who she, and then she's the part alien thing. Like this is, there's just a lot about it that I don't really like, but at the same time I can't deny that there's a lot in it that I enjoy. It's just a fun film, but as I said, these days I tend to leave it out of the rewatch of the whole series. I somehow never get to get round to popping in that 4th disc. I don't know why.
This is more for me than anything. I'm sorry, guys. Here's the synopsis for Alien Resurrection. 200 years after the conclusion of Alien 3, the company is able to resurrect Ripley through the process of cloning, and the scientists successfully take the queen alien out of her. But Ripley's DNA gets mixed up with the queen's, and she begins to develop certain alien characteristics. The scientists begin breeding the aliens, but they later escape. Soon, the xenomorphs are running amok on the ship, which is on course to Earth. The queen then gives birth to a deadly new breed of alien, which could spell disaster for the entire human race. It's up to Ripley and a band of space pirates to stop the ship before it reaches Earth. Yep. Sounds intriguing.
I mean, I like some of the characters. The guy in the wheelchair, Ron Perlman's funny in the film.
Oh, right.
And I suppose I just enjoy the fact that it is a bit more peppy than Alien 3, even if it's cheesy and There is a moment in the film that is just so laughable. It's one of the generals or something. I don't know who the fuck it was. He's standing there and he gets popped in the back of the head by one of the the pop-out alien mouths. So it's like he's been bitten in the back of the head, and he literally goes like. Pulls out his brain, looks at it, and it's just like, oh my God, man, you serious? But
oh wow,
You know,
Well, let me cut you off for a second. Matthew's MVP right now in the chat. Trying to send a link, but it's not working. Oh, you sent that through Twitter. I just saw it on my phone. I'm convinced they were on drugs when they came up with Alien Resurrection. Clearly. You can see where Joss Whedon was testing the waters for Firefly, though, because Ron Perlman and his ragtag band are very much like the Firefly crew.
That's a good point.
I have Serenity. I keep meaning to get Firefly. I haven't seen any of it. Don't hold it against me. I own Serenity. Really cool. I just don't want to watch it without watching Firefly.
I saw Serenity first.
Okay, well, I guess I could do that. Brad Dourif's performance is strange to me, which is a shame because I often love Dourif in stuff like Cuckoo's Nest and the voice of Chucky. Yeah, he's
a little bit over the top.
Yeah, and you know what? Even in something like Urban Legend, which he's barely in, he really loves abusing that stutter of his. You know, I'll give you a quick. He's literally in the opening. That's all he's in of Urban Legend. Woman's driving a car. Urban Legend. You know, so if you don't check the back seat of your car before you get in, somebody's going to get you or something like that. And, you know, woman stops and gets gas, and he's trying to call for help. She thinks that he's trying to like molest her or whatever, and she's trying to run away, and he's asking her, just come to the, you know, the office here. And she's like, just give me our credit card back. And he's like, no, I need the credit card company's on the phone. They need to talk to you. And she drives away, and he's all, someone's in the back seat. And yeah, it's again, like you said, it's way better than I did it. But yeah, God bless Brad Dourif. He's incredible.
I think one thing that I can say about Alien Resurrection, which stands out, or makes it stand out from the other three, is nothing about really the design of the film really impresses me. Well, going off memory anyway. I don't remember being like, oh, that's such a well-designed, you know, like even in Alien 3, there's some great, like, you know, matte paintings and things and cool imagery, the lighting and things like that. I just don't feel like there's much of that in Alien Resurrection. It's very dark, steel corridors, pretty standard. I did like the underwater scene. I thought that was, again, it was different. You know, they threw different things in there. And then there's the whole hybrid alien thing, like the white. You remember that?
Vaguely. I remember a lot of greenish yellow in that movie. Like a lot of just weird tints.
Just imagine a xenomorph that's kind of like white and has almost like a skull. I mean, it's basically Ripley's alien son. She gets willingly taken into the nest to be fucked or whatever, and then out comes this weird, and it's very strange. And Ripley's strange in it as well. And there's I don't know. That's what to say. It's a tough movie but I don't write it off again like Alien 3. I don't write it off as much as everyone else, but it's definitely lacking a lot.
Yeah, see, you're a better man than I, because, you know, here I am. I loaded Alien 1. You know, I watched Aliens. I mean, I'll watch at least one of these once a year.
Yeah.
4, I just won't get around to seeing, and it's a shame. Like, you know what? If whatever, because I think I'm gonna gank Chataway's idea. I love the marathon idea. I'm thinking of maybe doing something like that where you have to sit through a series, and I might use this as a starting off point. But it's got to be at least 3. But yeah, you know, almost just to like make myself sit down and watch it. Yeah, it is a shame. Like, you know, it's like I said, if you take, like, looking at those scores, 6.3. I mean, half the stuff that's out gets a 6.3. Like, that's as far as IMDb is concerned. That's, you know, that's a movie that people are all right with. That's, you know, that's Focus. That's, you know, Will Smith and Margot Robbie. That's give me something here. Yeah, it's probably Child's Play too. It's better than half of the Friday the 13th I know and love. It gets smart. The Steve Carell movie, like that. That's that neighborhood. Not great, not horrible though. So it really deserves better. It's just these two bastard brothers of just really overachieving, like Olympic breed,
Yeah.
like presidential, really, 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 really ace quality movies. And so we'll Fox seem. I don't know if it was so much Fox or whatever, but they seemingly took a couple of years between each of these movies. It was 79 to 86 from 1 to 2, then 86 to 92 from 2 to 3, that's a 6.5, 6 year theme there. And then 92 to 97, that's 5 years. And then around 7 years, they said, well, let's do that thing that everybody wants to see, because Freddy vs. Jason really made a lot of money. And they decided to make Alien vs. Predator based strictly on a cute little shot that was in Predator 2. It's higher than Friday the 13th Part 6. Matthew Aaronholt, bite your tongue, sir. Let me. So to hear Luke's little story here about aliens, which is really unique because it's literally in some bizarre parallel level. That's exactly my history with Friday the 13th. I was a younger kid. Friday the 13th Part 6 was, I don't remember what it was. My mom was a little more loose with me. I mean, if I could watch a movie and leave her alone for 2 hours, it could be porn. It didn't matter. She was letting me watch it. Something, I don't remember what it was. I saw it, like, my uncles were a lot closer to my age than a typical uncle should be, and they would watch it. They were young teenagers, and I really, really got enamored with Friday the 13th. And Friday the 13th Part 6, like you, it was on sale somewhere at, like, and it wasn't even a video store. It was at, like, a pharmacy or something like that. They had this, like, bin of shitty VHSs that were just, like, you just sitting there, like, $5 each. And I was like, Mom, please get me this. It's one of the Friday the 13th movies. Whatever, just as long as you shut up for the rest of the night, just take it. And that's it. Just the way you were with Alien, and you watched this sequel that wasn't as good. The same can be said for me with perhaps a far, far lower set of movies. But it's quite interesting to hear we had similar stories with how we got into certain franchises, but not with the right movies. Well, you had Aliens. At least that's some people say Friday the 13th 6 is one of, if not the best of that series. I'm thinking probably like Friday the 13th Part 6 better than Resurrection when I get around to it. You haven't even watched it yet. I don't want to hear your mouth at all then. Like, Friday the 13th Part 6 is the best thing after Friday the 13th Part 4. That's what I'll say. At the very least, it's the only thing worth watching in the last 6 movies that they've got. Anyhow, so Fox decided to play off of Freddy vs. Jason, and they had that little out. Do you even remember why or how that Predator 2, like, what the alien head thing, like, what that was about? Because I've never seen Predator 2.
Times, but it was just kind of like a fun.
Wait,
movie
start over. You fizzled out for the beginning there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
all good.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, it was just one of those cool kind of, hey, one for the fans to kind of pause the VHS or whatever. I don't know anything about the history behind that. I know that it became a big kind of comic book thing and, like, fan films and all that kind of, I mean, I don't know, but I don't know the timelines of that. I don't know if it stemmed from Predator 2, whether it was a comic book fan who put it into Predator 2. I really don't know, but
Yeah, so
it is what it is.
So they started this weird alternate storyline where the predators flew down to Earth and basically planted the aliens or the alien eggs.
For sport.
Yeah, it was this there's this temple in Antarctica. You heard me right. And like they would go and fight at this temple, and it was for sport. And if you could defeat all the aliens, you were worthy of being a further predator and taking on Arnold Schwarzenegger's. No, I don't know. So I mean, we don't have to spend too much time on, even less time on the next one. But anything to say about?
Well, I was just looking up to see, and it appears as if the comic book Alien vs. Predator came out in 1990.
Wow. Okay.
And Predator 2 came out in 1990, so I'm still none the wiser. Whatever. I remember going to see Alien vs. Predator in the cinema. I enjoyed it for what it was. I liked that Lance Henriksen was in it. That was fun. But it just is what it is. Yes. It was one of the things. It was like, oh, this is going to be so cool, and it was all right.
It was a bit of a waste of Lance Henriksen too, because if they could have used him as some sort of like connection, that could have been really, really fun. But he's just Lance Henriksen, the actor, not.
No, he is linked. He is part of the. I forget his character's name. Something Wayland. It is part of the thread.
His character isn't. Oh no, wait. Okay, go ahead. I think you're gonna go ahead.
I can't remember the specifics, but I'm pretty sure his last name is Wayland. The Wayland Yutani Corporation, who put all the people out there in the first couple of films, and I guess that his likeness is supposed to have been modeled onto this Bishop android. I think that's what they were going for there.
Yeah,
and then he was a descendant. Huh?
Not enough for me. I mean, it's cute.
Oh no, yeah, no. I don't really. It was all right, you know. It's nothing. It's nothing that's like, wow, that's great. But it is what it is. I suppose it's there for.
Yeah, it's like funny,
that kind of thing.
I probably should have remembered that, because I've seen Alien vs. Predator more than Alien Resurrection.
Wow.
Well, only by a time or two. I saw it. Actually, I was working at the movie theater when that came out, so I mean, there's probably, you could probably add up a couple more times that I've technically seen it between me walking and having it be on. You'd be surprised how many times you can combine a viewing of a movie if you just work in a movie theater and go in, and then you slowly figure out what times you need to be near a certain theater to poke your head in and watch something.
Yeah. Apparently, his character name in Alien vs. Predator is Charles Bishop Wayland.
Oh.
Little on the nose.
Yeah. Matthew, I enjoyed the Predator Alien Queen fight. Okay.
There's fun stuff in it, but I've never felt like going back to it, really.
I see your next comment, Matthew. We'll get to that in a split second. Yeah, it is. It's. Here's what Fox is. Fox is more about money than they are about telling great stories. They're more of a popcorn movie house than anything. They saw that Freddy vs. Jason worked. It was pretty simple. It just wasn't a horror movie. It was just two iconic people on screen and some popcorn fun. And they for the most part, that's what they did with the Alien vs. Predator. But there are moments that are neat. A lot of people didn't like that the Predator bonded with the woman. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The movie just seemed to go against a bunch of things. It seemed like neither series wanted to adopt it, because they went on and redid Predator and didn't even acknowledge it there either. But somehow, I guess it made enough money where Fox said, we waited a while between everything else. Let's hurry up and get the sequel to Alien vs. Predator out there. And they pumped out Requiem. And I'll get your comment now, Matthew. With Requiem, I couldn't see half of what was going on. It was a tad hard to get into it. All I remember is 4 chest bursters and aliens in the sewers. Yes, very, very dark movie. Like literally dark. I don't remember how I saw it. It was on sale for, I think it was literally $2.99, and I got it. Still have yet to finish it. What's your story, sir?
I've seen it, but I haven't seen it. All that springs to mind is just an image of a sewer. That is it.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot remember a single fucking woods, maybe. Literally, like just. I remember, like, again, my mom's a big fan of the Alien series, so we watched Alien versus Predator. She didn't like it because, you know, the predators were hunting the aliens. She didn't think it was fair. But still, she got the DVD of Alien vs. Predator 2. We put it in, and we both just went, that was absolute dog shit, and I cannot remember a thing about it, so I can't even comment. It's literally that unmemorable to me.
Yeah, not very many big names. Stephen Pasquale, Rico Aylesworth, who at the time was shit. She was prominent in the 24 television series at that time, and you know, not certainly somebody you would wrap a film around. And I mean, that's quite clear. The differences, you know, I forgot to mention the director of Alien vs. Predator. That was Paul W.S. Anderson, who, you know, he's not Ridley Scott. He's certainly not. Well, yeah, he's got his own little thing. He's good for Resident Evil movies, and you know, they are what they are. I'm looking Resident. Yeah, he directed Mortal Kombat, and you know, then he did Soldier. That's with Kurt Russell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, after that, he did Resident Evil.
I do love Event Horizon. I will say that. I really like that film.
Right. And then he goes and takes on Resident Evil because Columbia said, well, you managed to make a video game work, sort of, with Mortal Kombat. And ever since then, he's basically been the Resident Evil guy. But after Resident Evil 1, he directed Alien vs. Predator. And, you know, Death Race, the Death Race remake, which it has some fans. And Pompeii, which I guess was a movie. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly it's not, you know, it's not the prominence of James Cameron, but you know, it's a little bit better. Alien vs. Predator Requiem, on the other hand, they hired a visual effects guy to direct. No, excuse me, a pair, the brothers Strauss. Let me get their history. Yeah, they worked on some fun stuff. Hardcore Henry as a visual effects, San Andreas, all visual effects supervisors. Skyfall, Looper, The Avengers, Pirates of the Caribbean, Battle of Los Angeles, all as a visual effects supervisor.
Okay. Which is clearly where they work best.
Right. They somehow they directed shorts, download Nickelback music videos. Yeah. And then somehow they were given Alien vs. Predator Requiem. And they also directed Skyline in 2010, and that was a movie. Yeah, so if there's one thing that you could always kind of touch on with the Alien series, with the again, we're not really counting these. The directors really have some sort of name for themselves somewhere, and not even that can't even be said for Alien versus Predator Requiem.
Yeah.
So it was an unmitigated disaster on just about every front. Financially, it's the lowest ranked thing with an alien in the title on IMDb. AVP is a 5.3. AVPR is a 4.7.
Wow.
Yeah, and they
high score.
yeah, I don't remember what it was, how it happened. I think it was more Ridley Scott than it was Fox. Ridley Scott decided, hey, I wanna go back to that universe, and he decided to make a distant prequel he refused to say that it was Alien for the longest time.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott came back and got one of the writers of Lost to help him, and they did Prometheus, which is a super prequel of sorts and a super side project of sorts.
Yeah.
Touch on Prometheus for me, if you will.
Would you mind if I just go back a little for a second?
Oh, sure.
There's just one thing I want to talk about Resurrection. Two things, like one good thing and one bad thing. The one bad thing that always is in the back of my mind for Resurrection is the fact that Ripley, who's such a great character and one of my favorite characters, she isn't really Ripley, and so it's hard to get behind her, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
and
sure.
And that's always bugged me. And they kind of get cute with it with some cheesy lines as well, and so that's a big problem. But one thing I thought was great about the film was the scene where she finds all the clones, the failed clones, and that didn't work.
Oh yeah, all the other Ripleys.
That is a fucked up scene. Like you see all these distorted, like a baby thing, and then there's like the twisted, mutated one, and then that's a really, really good scene, which is probably better than most of the film. But I just wanted to point those two things out before we moved on to Prometheus.
Oh, sure. I mean, if you get something else, feel free.
Yeah. So Prometheus, I was like, whoa, really? Ridley Scott's going back? And as you say, he was very well. It's not a prequel. It's got the same bloodlines, but it's not quite. And it's like, okay. And then we find out it's about the space jockey, the big thing that's sitting in the chair in the ship in the first Alien film. And I think even going back to the documentaries on the Alien DVD, Ridley Scott was saying, I'd love to see the story behind that guy.
Yeah, let me cut you off for a second there. It is funny you mentioned, you kind of basically did it. That was always something that was in Alien that just kind of was there. I love it when a movie does something that makes you wonder what the hell was that about, and just never touch on it.
Yes.
Alien had this space jockey, this weird, like, at the moment when you watch it in Alien, without knowing what you now know about Prometheus, you're like, it was like an elephant face with like a rib cage on the outside, and his head's going into this weird, like, big thing, and it looks like it's a missile or something, and it was really incredible to just get the idea. The trailers for Prometheus were fucking incredible.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember if it was I don't remember if it was the first one, but there's that moment where they show the space jockey getting into that thing, that image that we see from Alien, and you're like, oh shit, we're gonna get this story. I'll let you finish from there, because I'll talk more about the trailers later.
Okay.
Sorry.
And no, that's fine. And that thing in Alien, what even makes that even more interesting to me is how it's such a huge set and all that, and it just looks so larger than life, and it's like, what is that? It's so huge, and then we find out what was in that. I love Prometheus. I'll say that. I went to the cinema. I loved it. I still enjoy it a hell of a lot. There's things about it I don't like. And one thing I'll always say is that it's a story I didn't need to see the background to. I didn't really need to see that white thing, whatever they're called. There was a word for them. Engineers, was it?
Yes, engineers.
Yeah, engineers. I didn't need to see them. I kind of like where they were going with that, kind of like the body that kind of almost looks like like a sculpted god figure.
Yep.
And all the ideas that go along with that and the creation of mankind. Maybe that whole idea is a bit big for the film, I'm not sure, but I liked it. But it's still, when it sits into that space jockey chair and the thing comes over and it's like, oh, so it's an outer suit. Okay. I don't really like watching Alien and imagining an engineer inside that space jockey suit much as I don't like watching the original Star Wars trilogy and imagining Hayden Christensen inside Darth Vader's suit. So it's kind of it's almost like a not really a retcon, but just I don't, that part of it I don't like about Prometheus. But as a whole film, an entertaining film, there's a lot that I like about it. I even love about certain aspects of it. But the anticipation for it was very interesting.
How do you mean? Is that a beautiful segue into my trailer talk? Is that what that was?
Yeah, well, it wasn't quite so beautiful as soon as you mentioned it and made a thing of it. But
well, I didn't know if you were done or if you were doing a rather steady segue there.
Dramatic pause. No, it was interesting because it was, like you say, the trailer was really, really good. I went to the midnight screening. I was so excited for it. And I think I made a video. I'm like walking back from the city at like 2 a.m. I think one thing I said was it kind of raised more questions than I would have liked. But then again, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Ultimately, there was just it was trying to answer stuff that I didn't really want the answer to, and then giving me questions I wasn't really that interested in. I don't know. It's an interesting one. But yeah, talk about the trailers and things like that, because it's interesting to go back to a film much like The Force Awakens, to go back to, even though he said it wasn't an Alien prequel, it is really. But then it depends how you class it, I suppose. Yeah. Considering how far back it is, and that there's going to be a sequel, and again, it's this muddy waters when it comes to that thing.
Yeah. So I re-brought up the scores here, just so you know. Yeah. At the very least, what Prometheus succeeded in was giving us judging by IMDb, usually 7 is something that is just about good. If you take it 7 out of 10, which it is, you have a group of 10 people, 7 people like Prometheus. It's a pretty decent amount there.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it was a bit big. It had some lofty ideas. The engineers, like you said, they planted humans. But yeah, the trailer. I remember the first trailer. I didn't think much of it. I was just like, kind of a weird sci-fi movie. And then, I read that there's some sort of, I didn't even know Ridley Scott directed it unless.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that for a while.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then slowly but surely, the connection to Alien came out and was. They didn't want it out there, but then the trailers, like I remember the last trailer. I'm a nut about like sound effects and weird shit and like stuff.
Yeah, the sound design in that trailer is so good.
They do a lot of, for as much as this movie isn't really an Alien movie, they they really modernized the original Alien trailer.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I really connected this to the Alien franchise was because I knew that there's this specific sound that is in the Alien trailer. I don't know if it's in Alien itself, but I know for a fact it's in the trailer.
Yeah, it's something that you heavily link with it. Yep. Yeah.
And that noise, they play that over and over again in the trailer. And at that moment, I was like, "Oh, this is Alien we're doing here."
I remember when I saw that, and I was just like, "Huh? So it's not an Alien film? Yeah, right." Like,
yeah. And you know what? You saw that it's ranked a 7 on IMDb. I think it's trailer 2 or trailer 3. It's one of those cases where the trailer is perhaps better than the movie. A really, really, really good trailer that certainly doesn't portray what you're getting in the movie quite. I mean, if they had given us the trailer in a 110-minute stretch, yeah, that would be incredible. We got to really, it's like you said, we found out about the space jockeys and just what they were doing, and like it's true. We don't need, like, why, and is it something that needs to be in this Alien universe? Like, I just want to know, maybe why these things are out there, and how they came to be, which they sort of give us the birth of, but not really. If you start thinking about it, it really doesn't make sense. If the space jockeys were running from the aliens, but then the reason that the alien exists is because it's from humans, and human combined with the space jockey actually ends up making the alien. But if that's the case, then how did they get the human to create the first thing that they were running from? But if Alien is a slow sci-fi horror, what the hell do you call Prometheus?
I don't know. It's definitely a different pace and a different style in some ways. I love the big room with the head, and how that's that's a literal set. That was really cool. But I mean, like you say, the origin of these things, isn't it kind of implied that the xenomorph, the alien, isn't around at that point? Or I think it is. But there's a shrine in that big headroom that I'm sure has one of the xenomorphs on it or something. It's been a while since I've seen the film, but I remember being a bit hazy on the details after watching the film. Not the details, hazy on what we're supposed to be getting from the backstory of where these aliens come from. Of course, spoilers, at the very end of the film, we see the kind of almost xenomorph-like thing coming out as if it's the first one or something. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the film too.
Well, that, and the post-credit scene is like this. The engineer like slowly gets the alien out of him, and then we have this like early model, so to speak, of the alien.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got like a teardrop head. It's not the full, penis head. The Giger. It's not a horror the way Alien is. I mean, Alien, if you took out the space aspect, it's a horror movie. I knew there was one trailer that spoiled too much. See, I don't know about that. I felt like they led us to believe that it was something that it really wasn't. That Numi Rapasi. How do you say her name? She lives out by you guys.
I don't know.
Yeah, Numi Rapeface. She was the center of it, and you got the feeling that she was like the new Sigourney Weaver. They really set it up like she was running from this thing, and she found them and she set them free, and she didn't realize what she was doing, and it really wasn't what happened. Like she figured out that they were getting these messages, and it was like an invitation, and they went to go figure out what the invitation was, and it really wasn't an invitation so much as it was a trap, because where they landed is more of a battlefield. I think they wanted to present it as it was like a weapons base or something.
Yeah, well, it's kind of implied that all the alien stuff and these jars is kind of the biological weapons, and that's kind of, I guess, where these aliens came from. And that, again, is something I don't really need for the backstory. I just like the idea of this ship on the planet in the first film, loads of weird aliens on it, and we just don't know why, and just leave it at that. You just draw a line under it. The mystery, the intrigue that you can create in your own head is a lot better than being shown. Oh, the weapons.
Right. So with that being said, and let's just say, well, it's made, but let's just say it's being made, and you suddenly have the choice. Well, not the choice, but you're obligated to do Prometheus. You have to set up the space jockey. How do you do it differently?
I really don't know. There are things I liked about it. The message aspect, I like that kind of thing, but then it's all the creation of life and explaining Earth's existence. I think was maybe a bit too much, but I respect that he went for it. He gave it a lot, and there's something I wanted to touch on.
That's Lindelof more than anything. Lindelof really loves those. I don't know if you're a fan of Lost.
No, I've not seen it.
Yeah, he loves super meanings behind everything. Okay. But
I don't know how much Ridley had to do with the story. I haven't watched any of the features yet. I really need to do that actually on the Blu-ray. But one thing I wanted to mention was that the planet or the moon or whatever is called LV-223. And of course we have the ship there. And I kept thinking the whole time, okay, so the engineer's going to sit down in this jockey seat. He's going to the ship's going to take off, and we go like, oh, so that's the ship from Alien, But then he gets out of the chair, so it isn't the one that goes to Alien. So it's okay, but then there's another ship further down the field, and I don't know. I guess I was expecting it to tie in more neatly with Alien when I first saw it, but then again, Ridley did say that it wasn't a complete, And again, he's planned. I've heard him say he wants to do multiple sequels to Prometheus, so who knows what he has in mind.
Yeah. It almost feels like an original creationist sci-fi script and then an Alien prequel script and then combine them. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It was a creationist sci-fi script, and they're like, hey, let's just take one angle from Alien, throw that in there.
Yeah.
Hey, gents. Hey, Doc. What's going on? I think it wasn't that widely distributed a trailer. Kind of forget what the deal was. Yeah, I'm intrigued too, because whenever I saw the Alien Noise trailer, I was totally on board, and I was like, oh, they played that crazy badass sound. That's my text noise. I need to see that movie. Based strictly on the woo, just based on that noise, I was sold. Oh, hell of a point, Matthew. The C-section scene does freak me out.
That's incredible. That's a brilliant
yeah.
scene.
I think
one of the strong points of the film.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating about Prometheus. Prometheus, it's on its own. It's a really nice movie. It's something that if it didn't have any connections to anything, it's an okay movie. But there are these moments where it flirts with stuff that is very Alien and very Alien franchise, and that, like you said, that C-section scene is such a. I mean, that's a big moment. Like that. If you had top 5 Alien moments, I think that moment really would be up there. It's the best thing not in Alien or Aliens, I would say. or as far as like big time noteworthy scenes that are memorable. I like we just went through a bunch of Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, the VPs. I don't remember very much. That C-section scene certainly sticks out. The anxiety, the rush that she's in, like she's in a race, and it really unique. The future aspect gets in there because she has this like gun thing that I guess kills pain, and she's trying to do everything at the same time where she should be under, but she's not, and it's a really neat scene. And it's a beautiful counterpart to the original Alien, our introduction to the stomach, the chest burster, because it was it was a race against it, and it was a bit of a because we knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything else about? Oh, Prometheus was directed by Ridley Scott. In case I didn't get that across well enough.
I love the character of, is it David? Michael Fassbender?
Oh,
is that
yes,
his character's name? I think he's fantastic. I love him in the film. I love his introduction, the beginning of the film, where he's like, just like bicycling around and stuff, playing basketball, and how he has this little thing where he watches Lawrence of Arabia and dyes his hair to look like, just a little bit. I love those little beats, and yeah, his character definitely stands out in the film. Like I say, there's a lot I love about it, but then there's these other things that kind of crop up as well. And yeah, I think you're onto something when you say if it was just a sci-fi film on its own, maybe it would have been more enjoyable. But when you measure it against those first two films, it's always going to be hard. The next Ridley Scott Alien film is going to be measured against the first two again. It's going to be hard. Like you say, the first two overachieved like hugely. So it's the same with Star Wars. There's always going to be that measuring stick if you've got a franchise that started off, or at least had a previous film that is like, really, really great.
Yeah, and if you think about it, this series was born of Star Wars hype. They were just saying, fuck, space is working. Do horror in space, whatever. And give it to Ridley Scott, man. He created a really, really not so much. Ridley Scott did an incredible job. The combination of just everything between the incredible visual aspect of just about everything Giger touched in that movie was just so just tremendous.
I think it was kind of you got a comment to read out?
Yeah, they cut the power. How could they cut the power? They're animals. Best line. Is that from Prometheus, Doc?
No, I think that's Aliens.
That's Aliens, isn't it? That's
yeah.
Oh man, you missed.
It sounds very much like Paxton.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think we're going back to the Paxton bits.
Yeah, I was gonna say about Alien. It's such a perfect storm because the guy who originally wrote the film had the idea of the alien, the movie, that like all that kind of stuff, the thing getting impregnated, but he allegedly was not great at the dialogue, so other people came in, did that, and then you had Ridley Scott bringing it to life with the direction. You had Giger doing the alien design. You had these other artists who were doing all of the interiors that look so great, and building off of Star Wars' lived-in sci-fi aesthetic, where in the 70s all sci-fi was shiny and white and clean and everything, but Star Wars introduced this kind of gritty, grimy, kind of almost more realistic looking aesthetic to sci-fi, which is what they definitely used in Alien as well.
Yeah. Doc, first movie. You mean Aliens? Yeah, they're coming out of the walls, man. Let's book. Face huggers for some reason really freak me out. Yeah,
definitely, absolutely.
And that's another thing that I guess we can go back to the series as a whole. It's incredible because you have like this this butterfly type thing with the aliens, because at first they're this lobster looking vagina dick thing, and then when they get birthed, they're this giant dickhead on a black alien body thing, and they're different. But first of all, there's the sexual aspect to them. They're both kind of scary and creepy, but for really different. Well, not different, but they have different aspects to them. The face hugger, like the tail, like literally chokes you while they really force themselves into you. Oral sex in the worst possible imaginable way.
Yeah.
And then you have the alien, which has that really long, crazy head, and then the mouth that opens that has the little itty bitty mouth that comes out.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. It is. It's creepy. And to quote comedian Dane Cook, they're always wet. Why is there always water? They're wet and hissing. Why are they always wet? I think I should take this moment to say I have a stuffed chest burster. A stuffed chest burster. Is that like a joke? Oh, do you mean like a doll?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. I think Loot Crate had something like that, and it's absolutely adorable. It's funny how many precious little horrible things that they create. I would. I have a. Oh, if you've seen my alien thing, I have a face hugger mask that made a cameo in a video back from October. I really like it. I just don't like that there's a portion of it that is black for your eyes. It doesn't really fit the theme, but it's a beautiful mask. It's just you could see where somebody's eyes are. I would use it a lot more in videos and stuff like that if it weren't so obvious. I have to hide it, the eye holes. But yeah, so Prometheus, after success, I mean, it was successful enough to warrant a future. And it's like you said, Ridley Scott even said that there's a couple of Promethei that he would like to do. So what happened? Like, do you know the story behind why they split it off? They wanted to do a sequel to Prometheus and then continue the Alien franchise as well with Neil Blomkamp.
It's a sore point for me. It really is. I remember when those concept art pictures started coming out from Blomkamp, where it was like an imagined Aliens sequel if Alien 3 hadn't happened, because we're seeing Michael Biehn as Hicks with the facial scar. We're seeing an older Ripley, and not just the characters, but like beautiful concept art of other things that he had come up with. And people were like, what is this? And he didn't say anything. He just posted these things on Instagram, I believe. And people just figured, well, he's a big fan, so he's just been putting some stuff together for fun. But then I think he said that, oh, this is maybe an upcoming project or something. It's like, what? And then it started filtering out then that, the Fox are going to go ahead with Neil Blomkamp doing this Alien sequel with Ripley and Hicks and Michael. I mean, there was a picture of, they did makeup tests of Hicks makeup with the scarred face, And Michael Bihn's like, yeah, we've been talking about it. And it's like, wow, like, and it makes you think, are they going to ignore 3 and 4? They'd have to, or could they shoehorn it in between 2 and 3? I don't really think they could. But I mean, I was all for it. I was like, yes, let's get like a good ending for Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, with a guy who clearly has a lot of love for the franchise. In what's that film he made recently, Chappie? Sigourney Weaver was in that. And she tells this great story of how, like, all the time he was just talking about Alien and aliens with her and stuff. And like, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. And he was such a fan. And she said, I could see how much he loved it and everything. And she's on board with everything he wants to do with it. But
That's so wild.
Yeah, but then once Ridley started saying, okay, I'm going to do Prometheus 2, and they were like, right, we're doing this thing with Blomkamp, and he's like, well, let's not do that right now. Let me just do my thing, and he can do his later. And so he was gearing up to do it, and then it got cut off and was no longer on the cards, so to speak, and it no longer is officially on the cards. But it was mentioned recently, like literally a couple of weeks ago, and it seems like it still might have some legs in it. On Alien Day, for example, he posted a picture of Newt, an adult Newt, like a concept art. So then,
wasn't the whole reason for them moving forward with Blomkamp because Ridley Scott kind of dragged his feet a bit, and he was all about, yeah, well, I'm going to do Blade Runner, and they were like, well, you know, it might be too long, where, you know, we should kind of strike while the iron's hot here, and people are kind of still fresh with Alien stuff. Isn't that kind of what they wanted to, why they wanted to do Blomkamp?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's all conjecture with the stuff that we know, you know, just bits and pieces we can. I mean, I'm just trying to piece it together logically, but Michael Biehn did say that he pretty much confirmed they were going to go ahead with this Alien film, and then Ridley Scott said, you know, just let me do Prometheus and be its own thing and not confuse the audience with, you know, 2 Alien films coming out at the same time. Because Prometheus 2, which again was not supposed to be an Alien film per se, was renamed recently to Alien Covenant. So it is officially an Alien film, I suppose.
So Prometheus 2 is actually now Alien Covenant.
Mm-hmm. So
we went from a movie that wasn't really... take care, Doc. Good seeing you as well. So we went from a movie that wasn't really an Alien movie to spawning a Alien sequel? Prequel? Sequel? Prequel?
Interquel? I don't know.
So are we to assume that perhaps Ridley Scott is just taking on some of the Alien aspect and maybe ditching a bit of the Prometheus? Like,
I really don't know. I mean, we know that Fassbender's back as David, so there's that link, but Numi is not back for the film. So who's to know what the story is going to be? Oh, wait. It says, bound for a remote planet on the far side of the galaxy, the crew of the colony ship Covenant discover what they think is an uncharted paradise, but is actually a dark and dangerous world, whose sole inhabitant is the synthetic David. So...
oh, so it's like a super sequel. It's like, if I'm imagining it, it's like a super future advance of Prometheus. Maybe Numi, her character dies and David's just kind of lounging.
I didn't even think about that. That is highly possible that it's maybe a huge time jump, where because of course the end of Prometheus, she's like, I want to go find this paradise or whatever it is, or
right.
In fact, I'm sure I heard something that this film was going to be called Prometheus Paradise or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, it's very possible that she's long gone now, and David is just on this, you know, this planet alone, and another crew finds him, and God knows what's going to happen.
Did she put him back together is my question. Because he was all broken and messed up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need to plug this back in. It's not charging. Okay. Sorry, technical difficulties. Alien Covenant reset printer cool. Yeah. All right, so what would you like to see from this? I do remember it was originally called Alien Paradise Lost, which I kind of liked.
That's it, Paradise Lost. Yeah, I knew that Paradise was in something to do with it. Yeah.
So, what are you hoping for? What?
I really don't know.
Because it's happening.
Hey, man, Ridley taking another crack at an Alien film. I'm all in. You know, whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna split hairs over it. You know, I'm excited to see what he comes out with. I kind of wish he hadn't put a stop to the Blomkamp film, because, you know, Ripley is a special character to me, and, you know, Sigourney Weaver's like, what, 66? She's not getting any younger. I feel like, you know, she's up for it. You know, you got a great young director who I think is a great director, at least, whose films look great. Just do it. Do it while you can is what I think about it. But as far as the Ridley Scott film, I don't know. I can't even begin to imagine what it's going to look like, and that's kind of a cool thing. It was the same with Prometheus. I didn't know what to expect, so
Yeah,
we'll see, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. I guess you're right. If they're using current day Sigourney Weaver as the future of Aliens, it would be interesting. And I guess, you know what, you're going to erase Alien 3, and technically you're erasing Alien 3, and I always don't like that when they do that, because you know, what if there's fans granted, you know, most people don't like something, but you guys were moving ahead with stuff, and at some point you supported a certain decision, and whatever. It's neither here nor there. But to see a older Sigourney Weaver as Ripley would be, you know, like that cover of the video game. There are people that like I said, Mary Elizabeth Winstead certainly could pull off being Ripley. You know, so if they're going to use Sigourney Weaver herself, it's neat. Yeah, while you still can, and while she's up for it, they could have done like a Hunger Games thing and released both of them within a couple of months, and just it is strange. Like I don't know why, you know, doing two is, unless it's something where they could only put their money in one. I don't understand why
That
not
could be an
both?
issue. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up what she said about it recently, but I mean, you raise a good point. You know, for me, as a huge fan of Aliens in particular, to see a sequel to that which includes Newt and Hicks and Sigourney Weaver back as Ripley, I mean, I'm just like 10 out of 10. Every fiber of my being, yes, give me that movie. Could it be disappointing? Absolutely. Does it risk kind of annoying fans of 3 and 4 or whatever, and kind of ruining with the timeline? Yeah, definitely. And part of me doesn't even agree with that. But at the same time, why not? Why not? Give it a go, you know.
Yeah.
You can only, you know, try.
Yeah. So do you have anything else to wrap up this this series here? How do you feel about this series as a whole? What does it mean to you? What are you looking for in the future other than what we have upcoming here from Ridley Scott and whatever the hell he's being a baby about?
She recently said it would be so great to know that Ripley has a resting place eventually, which is an interesting comment from Sigourney Weaver. I mean, as much as Alien 3 didn't really match up to the first two, it does give her character a definitive ending.
Sure.
So you know, what do you do in that situation? But I mean, I saw the concept art of an adult Newt, and it was clearly modeled on how the actress looks now. I was just like, oh, it's like, you know, just give me this movie, you know, whether it could fail or not. Anyway, right. So the overall thoughts, you know, I love the series. It's mainly 1 and 2. You know, it's the same as Terminator.
Wait. Let me. I'm sorry. You said that thing about Newt, and it kind of triggered something in me. Just hold that thought.
Yeah, sure.
Is it possible that maybe they're a little nervous / cautious, because all these classic films and these classic franchises, when you think about great alien movies, the last great alien movie was 30 years ago. Like what if maybe they're just nervous, afraid? What if maybe this generation isn't really into that? Maybe like sci-fi is really hard to begin with, to like figure out. And right. I mean, Star Wars doesn't count because it's this bizarre it's its own thing. It's not really sci-fi as much as it is just I don't know a Disney ride, literally. So maybe they're nervous. Maybe there's something to it that this generation doesn't really remember. Alien doesn't really have much to go on. Could there be something behind that? Because sci-fi just it seems like really great sci-fi is in modern times it's really really out there ideas like something like Moon. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yeah, it's great fun.
Yeah, a sci-fi action in modern times is just something that I can't really put my finger on. The sci-fi that works today, first of all, they're not like big budget stuff. I can't tell you the last time. Well, Prometheus barely made 120 million. And this is Fox again, a company that keeps looking for that 250 super child, and maybe like again, if I don't have the numbers in front of me anymore, but you look. Oh wait, I have. Without the adjusted inflation, Prometheus made 126. Aliens made 85. Alien vs. Predator made 80. Alien made 78. Alien 3, 55. Alien Resurrection, 47. Aliens vs. Predator, 41. Yeah, they're big numbers, but they're not like they're not like Transformers numbers.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, I'm looking back here. Aliens, it was first 4 weeks in a row, and its opening weekend was 10 million. Next weekend was 8, 7, 5. Can you imagine a July where 10 million is good enough to win? So yeah, it was a different time, but it's still the numbers don't really jump out at you as far as thinking about the business aspect.
I wonder if also the two Alien films that are going on right now, or only one, I suppose, with Blomkamp and Ridley Scott, is that you look at last year, we have Chappie, which that did great, and then you got Ridley Scott's The Martian, which actually did do great.
Fair
and
point.
I wonder if well, let's look at the numbers here, but what gives me confidence?
That's a hell of a point, actually.
Yeah, what gives me confidence in Blomkamp's, helming the film, is that you have someone who clearly is going to write the film, or at least, I mean, I think, does he write and direct his own films? I'm not sure, but I mean, it clearly seems like he has a vision for it. He has painted this beautiful concept art for it. Sigourney's gone on record saying that she'll do Ripley again only if he directs it. She must have some confidence in him. Whereas with 3 and 4, at least, you have directors who've been brought in with other scripts, and things like that. So I definitely feel like it could be a great film, but yeah, as far as doing big numbers, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough.
Blomkamp does write his stuff, and he's still attached to the untitled Neil Blomkamp project. Hey, Blu-ray Dan, you know what? How about you guys are awesome? How about that? And I said, how about that, in caps? And Blu-ray Dan said, I absolutely love Chappie. It was marketed wrong, unfortunately. Yeah, that's a movie that really, I love it too. It works.
Yeah, I really, really like that.
Really fun movie that will probably get stronger as people get around to it. And Sharlto Copley, I really enjoy him. I really, really, really enjoy him.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to assume he'd be involved as well.
Yeah, he's been attached to every single thing that's happened with Blomkamp. So yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Huh?
I cut you off with Blu-ray Dan's comments.
I can't remember what I was saying. Well, one thing I can jump in with, I guess, is I've got a timeline here. Blomkamp said in October of last year that his Alien film has now been shelved because of the new Ridley Scott film. And the latest we heard on it is Sigourney a couple of weeks ago saying that she still thinks it's going to happen, but that's all there is to it. So we'll see, I guess.
Blu-ray Dan says, I loved him too. Sorry for ruining your stream. No, you haven't ruined it yet. Post some of your links, and then we'll worry about ruining it. I'm sorry, Dan, I had to. Dan's got a video coming out, or he's got a video that's out, 4K. He hit 4K. No, wait, I'm sorry, he hit 6K. No, wait, he hit 7K. No, now it's 8K. I love you, Dan. Hold me. Yeah, so I took it off the rails there. I guess the future Charlton would probably be the new Paxton. Ooh, I like that idea because I loved him in 18.
Game over, man.
Game over, man.
What the fuck are we going to do now?
Fuck mother. When he's robbing the cars in Chappie is just so fucking priceless.
Chippy.
You still got these things. You don't still got these things. You fuck mother. Why do you steal to support your alcohol habit? It's just so funny what he does in that Chappie movie. Just the innocence and oh, he's brilliant. I love him. Apparently he's in Hardcore Henry, which I need to see based specifically on the fact that he's in it.
Yeah. Well, you asked me my overall thoughts and everything. Like
Sorry.
I said, no. I'm just bringing it back because I got off track as well. Yeah, huge fan, particularly the first two. That's another thing I'm going to actually. The Terminator series, it's the same kind of thing. I like to just one and two. I enjoy 3. I enjoy 4. I thought 5 was really fun, but I can do without 3, 4, and 5. I really can. It's the first 2 that are that's the main. That's it, and it's the same with Alien for me. I like all of them, but I always go back to those first 2 as the kind of that's the.
You know what? Oddly enough, I feel like Terminator is actually stronger on the ass end than Alien, which is really weird. I mean, if they're uneven, if you're taking strict inside the actual series, like if you're not counting Alien vs Predator, but if you stretch it out and count Alien vs Predator, like just to cover the full number of comparable movies, Terminator is actually stronger on the ass end, and I feel like for as just flawless as Terminator 2 is, there are moments throughout the rest of the series. The ending of 3, Terminator, is what I mean. Mm-hmm. Really, I give so much credit to it, and it made me think that I saw a lot better a movie than I did when I first saw it. Yeah. I remember thinking, wow, all right, that was actually really, really badass. You go back and watch it, you say, oh, no, it's just a really good ending on an movie. But 4 is, it's the Alien 3 of the Terminator series. It's a little dark, a little gritty. And 5, it's odd. It's I don't know. There's something there. It's just when you go back and you're trying to erase like the 1 and 2 storyline, it's like, well, yeah, you could have picked up from 3 and erased, but like, it's just weird.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I could do without it. I still had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just a very entertaining film. There's bits of it that didn't work, and obviously, again, by comparison, it just doesn't even stand on its own 2 legs. But something you can tie into with this is that you look at the diminishing returns of the Terminator series, from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, the gross keeps going down, and they might look at something like this and go, well, here's a 5th film in a series where the gross is going down. We have a returning, older actor like Sigourney would be with Ripley. Maybe that's part of their thinking about it as well. I don't know, because you know, it's kind of, you can kind of compare it, you know, a big sci-fi franchise that has resurrected itself again and again, and no pun intended, and would it work again? I think it would. I think it would, but then again, who knows? Who knows? This is all you know, speculation.
Right. If you keep in mind the numbers that I had and have since closed, the adjusted for inflation, none of those Alien movies crossed 400. Terminator 2 adjusted would be 417. Terminator 3 would be 213. Terminator Salvation would be 144, and the original Terminator would be 97.
Yeah, I had a list I was looking at to see if it did go down, and it did. But I'm looking at it must be the other one, not the not adjusted. But yeah, obviously the first Terminator was different, and the second one, it was much more of a thing, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, even without adjusted numbers, Terminator 2 made 204 million.
Yeah. It's huge.
Quite a big deal. And what's comical is Terminator Genesis only made 93 million.
Yep, it was. I felt bad for it. I went to the midnight screening of Terminator Genesis. There were 4 people there.
We lost you. We lost you.
I said I went to the midnight screening of Genesis, and there was 4 people in the cinema.
Oh,
you know, and I'm like, this doesn't. I mean, right at the beginning, as soon as the film came out, midnight premiere, I was like, this isn't looking good.
yeah. I mean, that's a movie where the marketing just really pissed all over itself.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, the trailers. Holy shit. Ugh.
They show, and it's the polar opposite of Prometheus. Prometheus, that trailer probably made it an extra 20 million. And Terminator 5 probably cost that movie at least 20 million. Way too much shown in those trailers, and and you know, on top of it, A, you're spoiling things. B, you're spoiling Drek moments of the film. It's just, yeah. It is unique though. It's a fun comparison to get, you know, Terminator and Alien. They're both similar, you know, sci-fi type movies. Terminator, of course, is a bit more mainstream with, you know, running around with guns and shooting shit. But Dennis says Home Alone 1 and 2. Yeah, I don't think there's similarities there, Dennis. Yeah. So back to your, unless you have something else that your summary, your.
Yeah, I kept getting off track. Well, like I said, big fan.
They're good talk.
Big fan of the series 1 and 2, obviously. Blah blah blah. But as for the future, I wonder where we'll be with Alien films in like 20, 30 years. You know, if they'll try and go down the road of a new Ripley, so to speak, a new lead over multiple films. I kind of thought they might do that with Numi in Prometheus. I thought, okay, she's going off on the ship at the end of the film. We'll see her in the next one, and maybe, you know, and she definitely shared a lot of similarities with Ripley in a way in the film. You know, like that scene, the C-section. You know, she showed a lot of toughness in that scene in particular. But I don't know, maybe they should shy away from doing that and kind of have new casts every time. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see where they take it and how many road bumps will be along the way, or whether they'll, you know, it's weird because you have these franchises where it's like every other year, you know, like look Fast and Furious, they're pumping these films out. The Marvel films, obviously it's never going to get to that level, but I'm very interested to see where it's all going to go, and I'm sure I'll be paying money to watch them every time they come out.
Sure. Why don't you rank the Aliens for me? And if you don't have them, I could probably do it.
The 4, right? Or do you want to include Prometheus in that?
You know what? Do 3 separate lists. You could
okay.
just do the 4, include the VPs, and then include Prometheus against the 2 other lists.
All right. Again, it's hard to differentiate between favorite and best. I mean, for me, if you're going about which is the best, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. But as far as favorites, it's 2, 1, 3, 4. And I don't know. It's tough when you get to Prometheus. It would be Aliens, Alien, maybe Prometheus. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I think based on my love of the Ripley character and some of the redeeming aspects, I will say Aliens, Alien, Alien 3, Prometheus, Alien Resurrection. And then if you want to tack on the Alien vs Predator films, they're right at the bottom. Obviously, the first one is better than the second because I can actually remember stuff about that. So that's all I got to go on as far as that's concerned. But I don't know. I'd have to rewatch Prometheus again to kind of which one is higher, Alien 3 or Prometheus. But they're certainly within striking distance of each other. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think. See, my thing, like you said it before, it's I love it that people can like know their top 5. I'm always changing. I never really sit on something. I could say something's my all-time favorite, but it won't be all the time. My moods are just so different. So to like
True.
as a way to kind of bitch out of it, it really depends because and that's what's incredible about Alien and Aliens. They're really, really different. If you're in a mood to watch something scary and like dark, you have Alien. If you want to like an action movie, you want a genuine James Cameron movie, you guess what? They have one of those. You have Aliens. That's a James Cameron movie. Terminator meets space. So like, if I'm in a mood to, just kind of veg out and let the story take over a bit, it's Aliens. But if I really want to, be captivated by it, it's Aliens. So that like, it depends on what kind of mood I'm in, Aliens, they're that close.
And I could say the same for the Terminator films as well, the first two. It's the exact same thing for me.
Really?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You think differently on that one?
Yeah, I don't think 1 and 2 are that different. Like
okay, I didn't mean it like that, but I mean like they well, I know, yeah, they do feel different to me. They do. There's a darker edge to the first one, and
I know you're right.
Something, but yeah, I just mean that there's literally like, right, am I in the mood for 1 or 2 in both series, and both are great and both serve different purposes of what mood you're in. For me, anyway.
Sure.
So I totally am on board with that idea of it could be your favorite one day or depending on what you're into, but. I'll always, for nostalgic reasons, always put Aliens at the top.
Yeah. So, all right. Today I'm miserable. So I'll do Alien, Aliens, Prometheus, and even that's it. If I'm not in a mood for like lofty sci-fi, it might change a bit. 1, 2, Prometheus, 3, 4, and if I'm doing the VPs, 1, 2, Prometheus, VP, 3, 4, VPR.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because AVP is just enough. It's just it's candy. It's just there's no nutrition to it, but it tastes good at the moment, I guess.
One thing that always bugs me about that film was when the black woman at the end, she just stood out in the middle of the Antarctic wearing a fucking t-shirt, just like not even a shiver, not even.
Her adrenaline's driving her, man. What are you talking about?
One thing I like about that is when is there some kind of not laser, or something has been like a hole's been drilled through the snow, like a diagonal. I love that cool. I like that visual in that film. That's a cool thing, but it's enjoyable enough. But, yeah.
We have lists. Matthew Aaron Aliens number 1, Alien number 2, Prometheus number 3, Alien 3 number 4. Your numbers are crazy there, Matthew. Aliens, Alien, Prometheus, Alien 3, Alien vs. Predator number 5, Resurrection number 6, AVPR lastly. AVPR, on Earth, no one can see what the hell is going on screen. I just realized I put the numbers wrong. From best to worst, it's Aliens, Alien, Prometheus, Alien 3, AVP, Resurrection, AVPR. What's even going on here? Something fun that I think maybe we should get a bunch of us together, Matthew and yourself included, Dennis, if you're still in there. I would like to compare franchises. Like, just compare the Alien franchise to the Fast and the Furious franchise, to the Star Wars franchise, to Terminator. What else have we got here? Back to the Future.
Lord of the Rings.
Well, yeah, if you want to get crazy about it, yeah, just I guess we could do like
the Rush Hour trilogy.
Yeah. We could do like a big Final Four, like FIFA tournament type thing, like the World Cup of movie franchises. Yeah, that's what we should do. Yeah, that's the name, the World Cup of movie franchises. Buy your tickets now, folks. All right. So, lastly, do you have anything else to say, Luke, before we?
No, not really. Just if you haven't seen any of the Alien films, then you're obviously not watching at this point, so there's no point even recommending them. So that's about it for me. It's been fun chatting about these films. Obviously, I love them very much. Again, particularly the first two, but it's been cool chatting about them.
Indeed, thank you for joining me. And if you're watching in the future or even now, at this current moment, the Alien franchise Blu-ray set is $24.99 on Amazon. That's certainly worth it as far as I'm concerned. You're basically paying $6.50 per movie.
And you get a lot more than just the films as well.
Fucking A, man. I would venture to say, even if one of them is not your taste, $25 is worth it for Alien or Aliens, whichever one you end up liking more, and then you get 3 free movies on top of it. Like that's what my logic usually is when I figure out what to do with it. Well, I'd pay $59 for this movie, and I'm getting 6 free, so why not? So for Luke, who is joining us from RazorWire Reviews, Luke, do you have anything coming up on your channel?
Not really, just movie videos, that kind of stuff. I can't really sell myself very well, but if anyone hasn't checked out my channel and would like to pop along, then
he can't sell himself very well, but he'll have a bunch of other YouTubers do it for him in his videos.
Well, that's my kind of phantom ego stroking going on at play there. I don't like to reveal too much about my inner big head, but there you go.
Once again, in case this is your first experience with Luke, I highly suggest checking out his entries into the Ryan Chataway movie marathon series, and they're epic good fun, and they get progressively longer each year. And the most recent one, you might recognize a face. His name's Mick Foley.
No, don't. No, it's cheap. It's cheap. Oh.
Yeah, don't do it. No, he's gonna do it, isn't he? No. All right, so that's it, guys. I'm gonna approach this franchise idea because it's really sexy in my head right now.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Either that or more Star Wars commentary live, whichever comes first.
Rotten crotch.
All right, so that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.